Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of SappyCast. How are you guys doing?
It's great to be back.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Episode 2, wow.
It's finally here.
Yeah, we're making the big time with 2 views.
That's on a 3-person podcast. It's really good.
Oof. Big oofs. Do we just want to jump into the news first, or did anyone see any movies they want to talk about before, other than the movie that we're talking about?
What was that Pixie show called that we were talking about earlier?
You're the only one that saw it.
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't remember names or anything about anything.
It's like
Carnival Row is what that is called.
Carnival Row.
That's a TV
Great
show.
show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Was it great?
Yep. I liked it. Had a good CGI.
Honestly, before we
Titties
started
in it.
talking, we were talking about
Suicide
recording.
Squad.
We were talking about Suicide Squad, which I'm assuming
True.
we'll have a full episode about that masterpiece.
Does that mean I have to rewatch that?
Yeah,
You get to rewatch
you
it.
get the
Fuck.
privilege of rewatching.
I get
Suicide
to.
Squad.
It's my privilege.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it was best movie of 2014.
Is that when that
No,
came out?
Is it when that came out?
it was
I thought-
It was 2015 or 2016, I think. I thought.
Oh man. So, like, are any of you going to see that Birds of Prey movie or whatever?
Oh,
gonna come out? Yeah,
It's-
it came out in 2016.
What's the? It's got 2 people. It's got Ewan McGregor, and then
Ewan
it's got
McGregor,
the chick from Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, I didn't
Mary
even know anything
something
about it. I didn't even hear
Elizabeth
about this. I'm
Winstead.
just looking at this now.
You just said the whole name.
So this is Harley
Like,
Quinn post Joker.
Oh, yeah, speaking
this
of
is
Joker,
post-Suicide
actually.
Squad, yeah.
Speaking of Joker, news that we didn't.
Are these
write,
separate universes?
Jared Leto officially out.
As the Joker.
Because he tried to sabotage the Joker movie.
That's very, like, petty. That's so weird.
What?
I saw articles that said Jared Leto thought the solo Joker movie was going to be his Joker, and they weren't going to do a recast.
That wouldn't be a good movie, though. Not saying that the Joker, like, with Joaquin Phoenix was great, but, like, the Joker Jared Leto style would be even worse,
Oh, it would have been terrible.
in my opinion.
Which
I don't know.
we'll get-
Have you seen the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix yet, Cole?
No. We were going to talk about that.
No. I'm
later.
waiting for a Blu-ray version to come out.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait on that.
So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, hot take: Jared Leto sucked as the Joker. So I would much
Yeah.
rather have Joaquin Phoenix play him.
So is he out of the universe then? He's being... What's happening
Well-
with that? Is Joaquin Phoenix
Oh,
just the new
no.
Joker in every DC
No,
movie
no.
now? Is that just a one-off and then they're going to recast whenever they
If
need a
they
new Joker?
do-
So it's like, even his back... It's not just his backstory that changes, it's the literal person changes every single movie.
Like the Hulk,
Oh.
pre
The Hulk, yeah.
Avengers.
So from what I understand from what I read was the scenes that he was filmed in for Birds of Prey, even though he was like only going to be in like a little, like I think cameo spots with him breaking up with Harley Quinn, that part's been taken off, and he's just done with it now.
Yeah, to be fair, to do Birds of Prey, you don't even need
No.
Joker. You don't even need to show him
Exactly.
once.
So I don't think that's going to be.
Like, even in the comics, they
Yeah.
just fucking... They don't
That
even
part
show him.
won't be bad at all. I guess he wasn't even in the casting for James Gunn's Suicide Squad, so that doesn't change anything.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, are they making a new one of those?
By James Gunn. So he got DC and Marvel money now from getting not Marvel money.
He's just playing both sides.
Yeah. Pete Davidson is in it.
Traitor.
Actually, a side comment before, also news, did you guys see the leaked images
Of
for
what?
that, for Suicide Squad?
No.
There were
No, I
set
didn't.
photos, and Pete Davidson was in, like, full-on, like, tactical suit, and it looked
Like,
really weird.
Honestly, like Pete Davidson could play new Joker in Suicide Squad, but also Pete Davidson looks like he's on fucking meth 24/7. So.
Are they gonna do the same Joker? Like, is it gonna be the gangster Joker in Suicide Squad 2? Or are they gonna be like, wow, that really was shitty?
Whoever they'll recast will be anything. Which, I mean, that universe is... I guess that technically the universe is Batman's out, because that's Ben Affleck. So I think it's all just gonna be, like, not in a contained universe anymore. Mm-hmm. Except maybe with Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
I mean, in all honesty...
I'm a DC fan, and I'm really confused at what they're doing with their movies. Like,
in all honesty, I think they should just separate out Suicide Squad universe and the DC...
Well, they do.
But they already wrapped in Affleck.
No, and he's already gone.
See, that was their mistake. See, I mean, really, it doesn't even matter, because now that Ben Affleck's gone, there isn't really a...
They should do a full fucking reboot. They should, like, do a new multiverse.
I guess that'd be a lot of money.
Yeah, that's why they're... I mean, and with Joker's success for, like, the DC Black Label, or whatever the solo shots are, they're probably just going to keep rolling with that, which in all honesty is going to be very smart, because you can't try to...
They're going to keep doing solo films?
Why not? Like, the Justice League definitely didn't work.
Well, what they should do, they should just do what Marvel did and do a bunch of really good solo films where they're really good independently and then slowly bring them together. Instead of just being like, bam, Justice League. And then just have be like, afterwards, be like, okay, here's Wonder Woman, here's Aquaman. Even though those were like okay movies, they should just fucking slowly build up.
I think they did that because...
They had to try to compete with...
Yeah, they were trying to compete.
It was too rushed.
But they also were like, okay, these movies that we're making are costing us a ton of money and not making us back a ton of money. So let's see if we, if we put all of our, chips in one bet, we're going to make a smash hit. Mm-hmm. And then we can divide it out from there. It's like if Marvel did Avengers first, or like they did one Iron Man.
So they're doing it backwards.
Captain America
they're working their way back.
And then they threw out the Avengers, like Endgame type shit. And then did Aquaman and Cyborg and all this other garbage. And then did another Justice League movie. I think that's kind of what they went for, I guess. I don't know. It was really weird how they organized that entire universe.
Well, it was they.
Oh, you not want to be the camera?
They watched everything that Marvel did, and then just like 5 years later, they said what made the most money. They looked at Avengers. They tried to replicate that. They looked at Guardians of the Galaxy. Tried to replicate that with Suicide Squad. And then everything else kind of followed too. I guess Wonder Woman was essentially the only one that actually I think worked. And even that, I didn't like the ending with the whole CGI boss fight. But
of Wonder Woman, you didn't like that?
It ruined.
That was like the only part where she really felt like a superhero was at the end. Was when
like
she went all CGI.
Like, janky part of the whole movie, because the rest was like kind of contained, and like she was still like Wonder Woman, and didn't really show it that much, but it felt more like dirtier almost. And then all of a sudden it was just like at the last 10 minutes they're like, oh, it's a superhero movie, so we need to add a CGI boss fight, and it looked really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like also DC's CGI, like whatever they do with that,
DC CGI is really bad. But I mean, Marvel does that too. It's just you don't notice it.
Exactly. So, other than that, I actually enjoyed Wonder Woman, but just the last 10 minutes were yoinks. But I guess getting into the stuff that we've written down, and since we're on DC, look at this transition. The new Batman casting additions. Jonah Hill, more like Jonah No, got him.
Who is he supposed to play?
He was supposed to play... I would assume by looking at it now, he was supposed to play the Riddler, but he wanted...
What?
Yeah.
Dude, why?
Jonah Hill playing the Riddler, or...
Is this going to be like a serious role for him, or is it going to be like a comedy?
He's out, but
he's not in it.
He would have played
because Paul Dano, 2 days later, was casted as the Riddler, And from what I saw, it was, I guess, Jonah Hill was maybe asking for a lot of money. I think it was like 10 million or something. And I don't even think Robert Pattinson was offered that much from what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of... I'm wondering if that played a big part in it. But Paul Dano, Little Miss Sunshine.
I do think that he's a good fit.
Little Miss Sunshine, There Will Be Blood.
He's a great
I'm
fit.
trying to think of other ones he was in. He was in Looper for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Little Miss Sunshine and There Will Be
He's
Blood.
that weird looking guy, right?
The weird looking guy.
Yeah. From There Will Be Blood. The pastor.
He's the pastor, yeah. And then...
Oh, yeah, that was a
I
great
love it,
movie.
yeah. And then he directed Wildlife last year, which wasn't the best thing, but directorial debut, I guess it wasn't the worst. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
So my take is, who is going to be, like, are there going to be certain villains they're focusing on, or is this going to be like a everybody versus Batman kind of movie?
So it was
like,
because
here is
Do they have a
like
focus?
Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, Two-Faced, and a host of other villains. So it's like,
is that what's been cast? Is just a bunch of villains plus Catwoman?
No. Right now it's
okay. Just the Riddler and Catwoman?
And then Jeffrey Wright, Westworld, is casted as Commissioner Gordon. Other than that, I don't even think they have like...
So it's like a Riddler movie, and then Catwoman, I assume if they're going to go with the comics, is going to marry Batman.
It's starting... The early synopsis on what it is that it is during Batman's early years... So I don't know if they're gonna try to do like a year one focus, but it is gonna be, from what I understand.
Are we gonna get like the classic intro where like the parents die and like the pearl necklace, and then we're gonna see how he meets Commissioner Gordon?
Let's see.
Because if the first hour is just introducing Batman again,
an origin story for like a Robert Pattinson series of Batman movies, I'm going to be very disappointed. I think this should start.
If it starts like he's already been like Batman, like I guess the Homecoming routine.
Yeah, where there's no like everybody knows Batman and his origin story. I don't need to see, the Waynes get gunned down in an alley again. Like everybody already knows that, or at least the people who are probably going to go see the movie already know that. So it's like
I guess I don't know if anyone doesn't. If you know, like, the basics of superheroes.
Well, if you're going to the movie, you probably know.
Yeah.
And if you're going to the movie and you don't know, you're probably going to learn about it some other way besides the movie. Mm-hmm. So, because it'd just be a waste of time.
Yeah. No. And then the other thing was it said that he wants to... I forget the director's name.
I do not know who the director is. Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves, yeah. He said that, I think at one point he said briefly that he wants to make it more detective focused, so I don't know if we'll get like a almost noir-esque Batman. And especially with the Riddler, that would almost make the most sense.
It would have to be. That's like the reason the Riddler exists.
So I mean, that could be interesting. We haven't seen the Riddler since...
And Catwoman too, like the whole burglar.
I would like a noir-esque Batman that... Because like the Batmans that came out a few years ago with Christian Bale, that wasn't so much noir as in like grounded. It was grounding Batman into reality kind of thing.
Batman Begins had a minor focus on it, and then it went more out of the window once Dark Knight. Because Dark Knight, there's barely any... Well,
it's always just like cool gadget that does cool thing.
There's no
that
like
is never
real...
like finding... It's never finding clues and like solving the mystery. It's like, Alfred, build me the robot. And Alfred's like yes,
sir. Thing,
and the
like
robot
the
just comes
thing
out
with
and does stuff.
in the last Christian Bale movie, when he was finding Selena Kyle, when he was finding Catwoman and who she was, he was like, oh, he dusted for fingerprints and found that she was using fake fingerprints, and then he was able to find her in like 10 seconds later, like from the police database. Yeah. So there wasn't anything of like, oh, you know, here's this thing of him trying to find out who Catwoman actually is. Yeah. You know, he was able to find it right away. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was sort of a symptom of how much garbage they had to pump into that movie anyway to get it to its ridiculous runtime. But it was like, Batman's the world's greatest detective, so, you know, maybe putting some of that stuff in might have been better. I don't know. I think I liked how they grounded Batman in reality with those movies. With like, oh, his last movie, he was like all fucked up and his joints were all messed up and stuff like that. But maybe do something like that, but also have the actual character, you know, attributes that Bruce Wayne / Batman actually had, instead of like, oh, he's behind a guy and he karate chops him and finds out who Batman or Catwoman is within 10 seconds. Like, I don't know, that was kind of stupid, and I'd like it if it did go for a more like mystery noir type thing, instead of him zipping around Gotham.
And especially having it in his early career, making it almost have the reasoning for him failing in like the first half would make more sense then, since he's still learning. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, if they don't make him just like the first, like, oh, I did 10 seconds and I figured out everything. It is like a learning process.
Like he's an amateur.
Yeah. I guess also, are you guys excited for Robert Pattinson?
I think he's a good actor. I don't think I mean, obviously we see that now with The Lighthouse, and
Good Time was, I think, the last year, which is one of my favorite films from last year, or 2017. That was kind of his people looking at him again, being like, oh, he's not just
he's an actual actor.
Twilight boy.
Another movie I'm really excited for, which comes out on Netflix here in like next week, The King.
Yeah.
He plays the Dauphin of France. I'm very excited for that, to see how he does with that.
And got Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
As King, isn't it King Henry?
King Henry, yep. It's like the 100 Years' War is what it's based off of. It was put in select theaters, and it's a Netflix release, so I'm pretty excited to see that, because I haven't seen The Lighthouse yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does.
Lighthouse will take a bit to probably see for us. Same with Parasite.
I think, I mean, he can act. I know that. So, from what I've heard about The Lighthouse, he does a really good job at it. So we'll just see how well this new Batman is written. I think that's going to be the main sort of kicker for this new Batman series, is how well it's written, because he's going to have all the action and great set pieces and stuff like that, but as long as it's not well written, it's just going to flop.
And he's been talking about it too during his Lighthouse interviews. Sounds like he's excited, kind of going into the more of the I guess the psyche of the character is what he's been at least talking about, how he's more like a troubled, flawed hero instead of like everyone else. So I think from what it sounds like, if Matt Reeves has a solid script, which by this time I would hope they do, because they start filming, I think, 2020. I'm pretty excited. The only DC films I usually get semi-spiced for would be Batman, other than the best movie of 2012, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's a masterpiece.
Yep, just keep going off of that.
And then I guess the other castings, which the only reason I wanted to bring this movie up is anyone even excited for a Matrix 4, is Neil Patrick Harris and Jada Pinkett Smith added to the casting.
Jada Pinkett Smith, you mean?
Oh, I wrote Plinkett. They got added to the castings for that, along with the original
cast, so Keanu Reeves and those other guys.
Who we can't remember her name.
Nobody remembers her name.
And it's I don't know if both the Wachowskis are added to the writing credits. I know one of them is.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at any new news for the new Matrix. The new Matrix. I thought they wrapped this up, like with Matrix Reloaded or whatever it was called, or Matrix 3. I'm not excited for a new Matrix movie. Like 1 and 2 were good, and then 3 was there, and then there was like a weird Animatrix. Animatrix. Oh my god! If you want to trip hard, watch Animatrix. That shit will blow your mind because it's weird as shit.
It's an animated movie.
It's an animated
reinterpretation of
chronology
the
of Matrix,
and it's with the original cast as the voices too.
And it's all like different animations, kind of like Love, Sex, and Robots, whatever that was called.
I still need to watch that.
Beautiful series, by the way.
I was kind of pumped
but all like early 2000s animation, and then Matrix themed. So, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, go ahead and watch it, but it's real weird. It's real, like, one of them is, like, a guy runs so fast that he, like, runs out of the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
He's, like, the Usain Bolt of that world, and he runs so fast that he ends up, like, bursting out of the Matrix because he runs so fast. It's just so strange and interesting, and it gives you a little bit more insight on what the Matrix like is in terms of world building, but it's like it's so niche in its presentation that it's like no regular person is gonna be like, I'm gonna watch Animatrix to understand this crazy Matrix movie I just watched. Like Animatrix is like the equivalent to the special feature animated comics that were included in I Am Legend that told the story of I Am Legend. Yeah, if anyone wants to talk about those, email me because I will talk about those forever because those scarred me as a child. One of them...
His email will be in the link in the description.
Yeah, one of them was literally... Okay.
Click right up here.
One of them was literally a story about this girl writing a letter to like her family and how no one's left in Tokyo, and then she just like jumps off a bridge at the end. Another was like her family was in a vault and didn't let this guy in, but then she like let her boyfriend in who was infected, and then they died. And I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like... What is this? That's how I felt with Animatrix. I'm like, okay, this is world building, but...
By the way,
I've never heard someone talk about
there's a scene in Animatrix that is my... There's a scene in Animatrix that's my absolute favorite scene ever.
What is it?
It's where they're killing the girl that's like a cyborg or whatever, and she's like, I'm alive, or whatever, and she's just like screaming as they like tear her apart. Beautiful.
There's a
beautiful scene.
GIF about that.
I love that. Mm-hmm. They're just like ripping her apart. She's like, I'm alive.
Welcome to our Animatrix podcast.
Yeah, this is now Animatrix / the special.
Dude, I want to pick that. I want to pick that now, but I'm gonna pick something else instead.
I Am Legend. Watch those if you ever get the chance. They're nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very nutty.
Jesus. Are you excited? I guess Cole for the Matrix, or
I haven't been excited about the Matrix since like the first one came out.
Were we alive when?
I'm even a big science fiction fan. I just think like the Matrix is
they
just kind of old and dated and cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
They came out a while.
I thought it was 97.
97 for the first Matrix.
Hold up while we fact check.
I mean, we met in 1999.
It was before I was born.
That's why I was confused
when I was excited for it.
I mean, we were still alive.
99.
We didn't necessarily watch it.
Yeah, I was a baby.
Little Coley Bug excited for the Matrix at the age of 2.
Yep.
I don't know. I just never... for some odd reason, the Matrix, like, every 2 years supposedly has a reboot. I think, actually, like, a couple of months before this, there was the Michael B. Jordan Matrix that was announced, and then of course nothing came to fruition with that.
Michael B. Jordan Matrix.
Yes, you didn't even know. There was like an article that said new Matrix with Michael B. Jordan, and it was
interesting.
So I just don't see how this will do, especially now, with all the blockbusters.
I don't think kids nowadays even like The Matrix.
I don't know if anyone, like, I don't think anyone's going to go to The Matrix 4 for nostalgia, because Matrix 3 ruined that for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to have the, like, actual impact the first one had with being, like, a smart blockbuster movie. I don't think it's going to do anything like that.
I don't think there's enough Matrix fans out there.
Yeah.
That will, like, bring it along. And, I mean, there might be people out there who've never seen a Matrix movie, and they're like, oh, Matrix, that looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And they'll go and watch it, but I don't see its appeal.
But here's the thing, they're calling it Matrix 4, right?
As of now, so
no one's gonna go in never seeing another Matrix movie and be like, I want to go watch the fourth one.
Matrix 4 when there's all of this, including Animatrix, out.
Dude, we need to watch that.
We'll have that as our 100th episode.
100th episode. Animatrix special.
100th episode.
Animatrix special. I just can't see it having any impact. The only thing I could see it holding up it would be the Keanu Reeves revamp that's been popping
That's
off.
it.
The year of the 2 years of Keanu Reeves recently.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could see.
Him going back and reliving his movie career.
I could see that having a little bit of it. People going to see it just because, bless the boy, everyone loves him.
I mean, if they don't call it Matrix 4, yeah, maybe.
Matrix Reload dead.
Matrix Reloaded squared.
Oh, no.
Or like Animatrix 2. But it's not animated. That's the thing.
Animatrix live action.
Exactly.
Live action, yeah.
I don't know. It'll be for sure interesting. One, the Wachowskis haven't even... Like, what have they done? They did V for Vendetta. That's the only other thing I remember. And I remember not really liking V for Vendetta that much.
I didn't like V for Vendetta as well. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while as well.
The graphic novel is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It got the Watchmen treatment to me almost, where they try to copy everything Alan Moore wrote, but they do it in like the most dummy way possible.
Easy way.
I'll say I'll rewatch it, but I never will, because why would I?
I won't. There's no use in it. That movie is so dumb, and it's like edginess. That's like, okay, this is, this is dumb.
It just
I'm
doesn't.
Literally watching dumb stuff.
It just doesn't feel like it understood the source material, and it just gets the slow-mo treatment that for some odd reason both Alan Moore movies got, sadly. And then Matrix 1 and 2 were good. Matrix 1 was actually very good. Matrix 2 was fine, and then 3 was 3. I don't know how else to say it, I guess. Cole, any last Animatrix topic? Or...
No. I watched them like as they came out, but like never rewatched them or cared about them after I saw them.
You weren't okay.
Okay. Not excited to see 4. Even though I'm a huge science fiction fan, I'm not excited to see 4. I don't know what they could do with it that would just blow my mind.
Yeah, no, I getcha. Okay. And then moving on, best movie of 2020 coming out. Got a little redesign. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Sonic. Finally, we're getting to the good stuff.
So I would assume we all watched the trailer, which for some odd reason people thought the worst part of that was the design and not Sonic running around to gangsters in paradise.
That was the best part.
It was a meme for sure. But the thing is, the audience they're going for loves that shit.
But the one thing I don't understand, and
you're just a boomer.
I'm a boomer boy.
You're just a boomer.
I'm a 22-year-old boomer.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I don't get is, because when the poster got leaked, people were actually like, at least from what I saw, where people were like, "Oh, they fixed it. This might be fine now." And I don't understand how a simple redesign on a CGI blue boy is gonna make what looked like to be the most trashiest movie, with Jim Carrey being not even Jim Carrey at that point. Like, how is that gonna even save it? So I don't know what people are expecting.
Well, you have to be there's a lot of Sonic fans. They're gonna get a lot of money from this movie. It's gonna be super popular. It's gonna be Detective Pikachu.
Was Detective Pikachu even popular?
I think so.
Detective Pikachu did well, but
I would assume it made money, but
I don't think this is going to be of the same caliber as Detective Pikachu. I might be wrong. This might be like a super breakout like kids movie that is just like good for some reason, like The Mask. But I don't know. I just don't see that happening with this. And this movie can fairly easily become a flop.
Bill Schwartz.
I think it has a high chance of failing. I agree.
I was trying to figure out who the voice for Sonic was, because at least Detective Pikachu also had Ryan Reynolds as the voice. That Bill Schwartz. That's not gonna get any people going in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got the Cyclops. I forget his name.
I have no idea.
He was the friend, or the cop.
Oh yeah, that guy. It's such a weird guy. He's the guy from Westworld,
who actually isn't bad, but he must just get gutted by his agent or something, because he gets the worst shit.
Yeah, you go from Westworld to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, if it does well, it does well. You're also doing a movie with Jim Carrey, so.
But I don't even think that's gonna do anything.
I think people are going to come to watch this movie for Jim Carrey, and they'll either be pleasantly surprised by how good the rest of the stuff is, or they'll just hate it and be like, well, Jim Carrey was good.
Okay.
Depends. I think the success of this movie depends on when it comes out and what else is playing at the same time. Because I think if there's anything remotely good that comes out at the same time, they're going to get destroyed. But if they're the only good movie in the theater,
I would assume it'll be like...
people are going to flock to it.
I feel like it's going to be like a March or April release. Because it can't be released in January or anything with a throwaway movie, because of the redesign. Probably is going to take a bit, but I can't see it coming out at a prime blockbuster time, like May or something like that. I feel like it's going to be a little before that, so nothing actual will be in the movie
a March release.
Yeah. What was there was the Dr. Dolittle trailer with
Robert Downey Jr.
That looks so
wow, has he fallen from Iron Man? I mean, he's got to make more money somehow.
Mm-hmm. Get that Disney money still. That's I think coming out in January. So that's
who's not making Disney money nowadays? DC, so
they're trying. But yeah, do you guys have any topics that got brought in, or
just to clarify, the thing for I Am Legend is called I Am Legend Awakening, and it's a graphic novel that has 5 stories in the movie. 3 stories were animated and featured in there. It's very scary and spooky, so it is spooky season, so if you'd like to watch it.
Spooky season for exactly 1 more
more
day
days.
probably
Yep.
when this gets up.
Yep. So yeah.
Actually, perfect timing on my part. This will be released on Halloween for me and you to listen to.
You're going to get so many viewers. The Halloween special.
And the movie that I picked,
oh boy,
was Halloween. The original John Carpenter movie.
Would you like
1978
me to give an official?
I want to give a sad fact, because I went out and bought the 4K Blu-ray edition.
Wow, you bought that?
It was $15.
Oh, okay.
Realizing I don't have a 4K TV.
Nice.
So I can only watch
You have a PS4.
It doesn't work on there.
Oh,
so I could only
true.
watch the Blu-ray edition.
Oh no.
And all the special features were already stuff I watched, so I just spent $15 on Halloween, I guess.
On the Blu-ray edition.
So I was really upset about that.
All right, so Halloween is a horror movie from 1978 from director and writer John Carpenter and was also co-written by Deborah Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Tony Moran, and is a story of Jason Voorhees, who's a crazy guy. Did I mention he's crazy? And he's trying to kill Jamie Lee Curtis's character while pursued by his psychiatrist, who is
Excuse me. Did
yeah.
you meme on me, or did you meme on us?
What?
Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
Yep, because I forgot the name of the character. Michael. That's his name. We'll edit that out, except not because we're already like half
Michael
an hour into
Myers.
this
You
thing.
got Michael Myers, but you remember the actor's name?
I said that really like enthusiastically too.
I know, and
I was
then he
like
just
Jason
called-
Voorhees. That doesn't really sound right. But
And then
I'm
you just
going
called
with it.
Jason Voorhees the actor's name too.
Yeah.
So
So you know what? It's fine. You know, it's fine.
I'm getting played here.
Yeah, that's the official opener to this segment.
Wow, we'll go with that. So, I'm
So
a little.
what? You
I'm a
picked
little,
it. You
Yeah, I
gotta
know.
start.
I'm a little
Frazzled?
flustered. So, what'd you guys think?
I thought the quality was as good as how old it was. For the time, I'm sure it
For
was
the
a
late
hit. But like
70s.
going back and watching it, it was like it was like going to a museum. It was like, oh, that's how they used to do it. Oh,
They
cool.
had movies
Like I didn't
then.
watch it. I wasn't like, oh wow, this is a great piece of cinema. I was like, oh, that's what they were doing.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Like if I was a film student, I'd be taking notes on how to make like a shitty campy movie. Like, oh, you get the girls and they do this, and then the guy comes in and he slowly walks. Ah, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those movies that are like it's one of the best horror movies of all time, or like one of the movies that you have to watch. And I mean, I'm not gonna say like no, it's not, because there haven't been that great of horror movies since 1978, or at least enough to knock it out of a list of top horror movies. Wasn't this one like a surprise
This
hit? Wasn't this expected to not be great and then just absolutely demolished?
Yeah. So
any
this
sort
was.
of,
This
like,
had a budget
ideas?
of 320,000.
300,000,
Yeah,
325,000.
it made 47 million.
Yeah. And
Wow.
small crew, John Carpenter. It was pretty much John Carpenter and Deborah Hill got their friends together, and they helped with the backstage of it. Jamie Lee Curtis and all the actors helped with like the staging of it.
Mm-hmm.
All the fun fact that I didn't know: all the fall leaves were just leaves that they were throwing around, and then they would pick it up and rake them up, and then throw them again. Filmed in California. Pretty much filmed in 20 days, which for
20 days.
a movie was really fast paced. They only had, I forget the doctor's name. They only had him for, they only had the actor for, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks. So they got all of his scenes filmed like rapid pace too.
Mm-hmm.
And just became a box office smash. Skyrocketed John Carpenter's career to make pretty much, I think, just a bunch of classics. And it all started with this little cute movie.
This little cute movie.
Yeah, one of my favorites, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way you and I talked about when we were talking about the horror films that were ranked, you said Psycho should have been higher than this.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they even said Psycho was one of the main influences on this.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I think it's higher is because all the horror we know, like all the horror slasher genre that was made post this. I mean, before this, it was pretty much just the two that stood out were Psycho and oh crap, what is it? It was before Psycho.
Birds.
No.
Oh.
Oh, what is it? I can't remember. But there was pretty much two movies. I'm blanking. That's fine. But the fantasy horror, like undead like force of nature that came after this, like Friday the 13th, all of those things. It was all pretty much from this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it was a little higher than that. And that's why I think this movie still holds. So much to it was pretty much the best made one, including all the other Halloweens that came after this. I think it's still the best out of that genre. Even being so old and mostly outdated with everything else.
I'll agree with that. I think that makes sense.
I mean, even with that, it's like, does that mean this is a good movie sort of thing? Like, it could have obviously started a trend, obviously, because we got like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of stuff, where they're like the slasher films, where you have these like set character, or like a set character that is your horror element, and then that plays on a story of like these people interacting with said character. But I mean, like, I like it. I like Halloween. I just, I understand. I think it came at a time where it could have been, and obviously we can see that now, that it became very popular in the late 70s. And I think if this came at an earlier time or a later time, it might not have been as great as it was in the eyes of the audience. I just think, like, it was released at a time where it was like, oh, like, this kind of idea could catch an audience and keep an audience, and then the movie just kind of popped off that way.
Okay.
And I think you see that with a lot of the older slasher films, not necessarily Psycho, but like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Those all kind of came at like one after the other. And so that sort of audience, it's kind of like what like superhero movies. Like, we're in a time of superhero movies now with the MCU and DC and stuff like that. It's like they're all coming one after the other. There was obviously one movie that started it all, and that was Eric Bana's Incredible Hulk, obviously.
I thought you were going to say Will Smith movie.
Oh, Hancock?
The superhero
Hancock?
one? Yeah, I thought you were going to say, no, don't want to turn it all,
the
Hancock.
one that really started off the superhero trend was Iron Man 1, but, like, there was always something that had to come before a trend would start in, like, movies being popular and stuff like that. And I think really for the slasher campy horror movie trend that we saw in the late 80s, or not the late 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, and continuing on up until like the 90s, that was Halloween.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just kind of started this trend, and we still see it now with these sort of horror movies, that it's changing a little because now horror is moving to either like jump scares or like you have anxiety the entire movie that you're watching it. But it's still kind of there. I mean, take the It reboot, for example. It's like they're trying to make this campy movie into a blockbuster. And I mean, it was a blockbuster, but still, like, those elements are still there. Mm-hmm. And they haven't really changed in the 25 years that it was made. That's my hot take on it.
Okay. So you're just saying, you're pretty much, if this came out at a different time.
I'm saying that
Even
Halloween was what set the trend for horror
Mhm.
for a long time, and like things that we say are like the classic horror movies. They obviously are the classic horror movies, but they're very set on the same thing. Like you have this unstoppable monster that is killing a group of young people because of their mistakes that they make throughout the entire film. There you've just named Halloween, kind of.
Oh yeah, you
Texas
definitely
Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the
All
13th,
of them.
Nightmare on Elm Street, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like,
did. Yeah.
you can just go down the line.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and I wonder if that's why Texas Chainsaw and this movie are held up to so high status because one, they were the first to do it.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was held up differently because it was more visceral.
And it was
And
being
so,
based off
like,
of real.
Yeah,
making
and
a
they were
real
like, they
person
based it
fictional.
off of real life events. There wasn't really a guy in Texas with a
Mhm.
chainsaw wearing people's faces. It was based off of Ed Gein,
Yeah, who was
wearing people's faces.
not with a chainsaw.
Not with a chainsaw in like Ohio or some shit
Yeah.
like that.
So fictionalizing that real event into
That kind of put it differently, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, the effects in Texas Chainsaw Massacre are crazy." Because like in one of the scenes, he puts someone up on a hook by their back,
Mhm.
and they're just like hanging there, like kicking and stuff like that. Like people are like, "Oh my god, that's fucking crazy! Like how could they do that?" You know. But still, I mean, with like Friday the 13th, with all of them, they have that cookie cutter like standard in the movie, and then they just fill in like, oh, okay, instead of Jason Voorhees, we have the crazy chainsaw Texas guy,
or Freddy Krueger,
Freddy Krueger and stuff like that, and then they all kind of have their unique story elements, but they're still they're in necessity they're the same movie.
And I guess that's why with that, I still think that's why, for me at least, Halloween is the best one out of all that, because it does that so, like, one, on a small scale because they've actually had to do it on a small scale, and then so concise and just straightforward with it. Like, the plot and the story, how it goes, is pretty much right away, and then it just, like, it doesn't feel like there's no spot for filler or anything. Like, they knew what they wanted to do, and they just got it done to the best and perfect that they could do. And it just feels such a solid form and way to tell that, I guess, trope story, but it just does it so well. And then being the one that in most ways isn't, other than like a couple scenes, the ending, and then the other one would be him stabbing the dude through his whole body with a small knife, and then having him stick to the wall hanging up. Other than that, it's really not like supernatural. It's just a dude at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was always the best part for me, was it was just this dude stalking this one girl just because that was the first person she saw right away. And then you can get into it later, because it was like, oh, he knew it was, with the second one being like, oh, he knew it was his sister. I don't know, boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it more just that he had a plan right away, and he just went with it throughout the night to terrorize her. And I think it was just so well done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Cole? I guess because this was your first time seeing it, and already the way you kind of described it would be like saying that it was knowing it's outdated, but knowing the time that it came in, when it came in, it was good. Like, I guess how would you, like, what is your take on it then with all this?
I mean, I feel like Josh kind of covered it. It was just like, it's such a cookie cutter formula that it's hard to like break down into it. I don't know. It really, honestly, like I had to like take a break from watching it to come back to watching it because I was so bored. Like I had to get up and like literally go do something else and then come back and then sit down and finish watching it
Okay, so first time watching was kind of
because it
so
was
slow
just
that it was boring.
it wasn't enjoyable. Like I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the slasher series
Okay.
anyway. Like I wouldn't sit down and go like be excited for one. So like going back to the original one was cool,
Mhm.
but like I said earlier, it wasn't like I was like excitedly watching a movie. Like it was like I was like
Okay.
studying what movies used to be. Like I was watching some old timey film. It wasn't like
Yeah,
exciting.
I guess that's what I was interested with you saying
Yeah.
because I watched this movie like I think
When it came
yeah
out.
when it came out I was in theaters at the ripe
Mhm.
old age of
Yeah.
negative 25, but I can't remember a time during Halloween that I didn't watch this more than like 3 times in the month. Like it's just like since as probably like 11, like this is just what I watched during this month was this movie and then all the other ones.
Oh, so this is like your Halloween special
yeah.
movie. Like this is like a holiday
Well,
movie
because
for
it's
you. Because other than that, I couldn't think of a reason why I would ever go back to this movie and be like, I need to go rewatch this. Except for if this was like my family's movie where we all just like sit down and watch Halloween from
well,
1978.
you got the AMC Halloween spooky run.
Yeah, like I feel like that's the only reason why I'd watch that movie is be like, oh, it's spooky season, time to watch 31 Days of Scary Movies. Day 22 is Halloween by John Carpenter.
Yeah.
See, I guess that's yeah. I guess coming from that, like that makes the most sense on my end. Obviously, then going from like Friday the 3rd, like I think that's maybe why it's so held up is going from one like Halloween 2 or Halloween Season of the Witch, and then Friday the 13th, like Jason in Manhattan Takes Manhattan, which is the best.
Jason 3000.
No,
that's
it's
my
Jason.
favorite.
It's the Jason in space. It's like Jason 10 or something like that. We should get into Jason
Jason
40.
Jason X is what's
Jason
called.
X, yeah.
That
Those
was
movies
sick.
are a ride. And
I think with that, it's like Halloween's held up the best over time.
and
the others have been like, oh, okay, kind of campy, more campy than Halloween kind of thing. Like they've been, oh, this is a cheesy movie kind of deal.
To me, it's like
Yeah.
it's a serious version of like Evil Dead. That it's campy and tropey, but I think knowing the time they came out of and now for sure knowing the circumstances of how it was made, like to me it's just, I think one, it's phenomenal that this movie became what it was because it was literally just a bunch of trashy boys filming it and pretty much just having a swell old time to then making $47 million. Also having the most iconic soundtrack, I would say, like the most iconic horror soundtrack easily, and that was just a dude on a synthesizer.
Yeah,
like knowing the budget on this, for me, and like the way they filmed it in such a short and like cohesive time is just crazy. But I could easily see it being more of growing up on this and just being used to like loving it so much is definitely the reason why, probably. That's kind of why I wanted to hear your take, Cole, since it was your very first time.
Yeah. And when I watch scary movies, I'm not super into like the cheesy stuff. Like I hate cheesy movies. So, like I don't even like watching bad movies because they're bad, which a lot of people like doing.
Okay.
So like going into this movie, it's like it wasn't
I
enjoyable
get
at
that.
all. I didn't think it was very fun.
Being the old tropiness, it's just not your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
That's why I like scary movies with good plot, like Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh. I guess being on the topic then of horror, since we've already kind of covered, I think, our sense of the movie, and one being my favorite horror movie, I guess, going into your guys', what would you guys say your favorite horror movie is?
Like the one I keep watching, or like
just
what I think is the critically the best horror movie, or what kind of parameter are we using here?
Wow.
Because I can give you the name of a horror movie. I don't know if y'all will like it or not.
Oh. I'm sorry, this is a very side comment.
Do you want me to say like what my
Soldiers
favorite,
fact? I have
what
a
my
Dog
favorite
Soldiers
horror
fact.
movie of all time is, or like
Yeah, say that.
my favorite horror movie of all time is the horror action movie Dog Soldiers.
Speaking of, I knew we were gonna get into this. I have a hot Dog Soldiers fact that maybe Josh doesn't even know.
I probably don't.
Did you know the werewolves in Dog Soldiers were dancers to get the the movement of the werewolves down?
I did not know that they were dancers. I did know that they had really tall actors. Or like they had really tall people play the werewolves because like the werewolves are still really tall, and that they had like extensions up for the heads, which is why you never see the mouths of the werewolves move except really like like really close up. I did know that. I did not know that they were dancers, but the werewolves did move really weird in the film.
Thank you, Ryan's Instagram feed for some odd reason.
Interesting. That's really interesting. I mean, that's how relevant it is in today's pop culture. I mean,
I knew you were gonna say that.
If you want any information about Dog Soldiers, please email me.
Email will be in the link in the description.
I'll give you a link to that I Am Legend thing, and then also some Dog Soldiers information.
Cole, what about you?
I'm not a big horror guy. I can't really, off the top of my head. I mean, the one that I really like, is the one that I'm gonna pick. So I don't really want to say it now.
Oh, it's
like my absolute favorite that I would go back and watch is the one that I was gonna pick for next week. So I don't want to be like, this is my favorite.
We will be hearing about.
But
that
I don't know. On Netflix, I liked watching. I thought 1923 was enjoyable. Like I normally don't watch horror movies, but like that's one that actually. Oh, I like The Witch too. I think The Witch is like the one that I liked.
One we all like.
Mm-hmm. I actually own The Witch.
Yeah, I actually just bought it a little bit ago, along with Hereditary because it was both $4 at Best Buy.
Good find.
Yeah, flex. But yeah, I guess with this coming out on Halloween, perfect timing on my part. Totally planned.
Yeah, real good timing.
Thanks for
that. No, I'm being serious.
Thanks for the week break.
Thanks
for the week break, Josh.
You're welcome.
Side comment on, I guess, the uploads on this for the two people that listen to it, aka you and me, Josh. Mm-hmm. Gonna try to make this more weekly, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is what we can agree that we all planned for.
So we're gonna try to do,
see if we can. For sure. I think this was something that I thought would be fun. If we want to talk about next week, saying this now so we can plan for it, since 2019 is coming to an end.
Pour one out for 2019.
I think it would maybe be fun for next episode for the first half for us to talk about our top movies of the decade.
Okay, I was about to say, if you're about to say 2019, I'm like, I've seen like 8 movies
I know,
in 2019.
that's why.
I'll give you the decade, though.
So I think that coming to an end maybe would be fun for us to look back from 2010 onward. Obviously, we're missing, I think, 2 that, for me at least, could be perhaps on it, which would be The Lighthouse and Parasite.
Yep.
You think the movies that are going to come out right before it ends are going to be the best of the whole decade?
Yes, because there's a lot of bad movies that come
out.
They
very well could be. They very well could be. Depends on how good these movies are.
Yeah, I could easily see that.
I will say a lot of movies have come out since 2010, so...
Yeah, that's why I want to say it now, so we can all do it.
I'm just saying Transformers came out in that time period, so
Transformers
I don't know if you guys are going to be able to...
1 through...
All of them.
Yeah. Whatever how many
Last
they made.
Night, which sounds like a Batman movie.
It was. It was a
Batman. Oh, shit.
Christian Bale was in the Transformers movie.
Who would have thought? Was he?
No, it was a joke.
I was about to say.
It was Marky Mark.
He had a cameo for like 5 seconds. He was in the background as an extra.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that could maybe be something to look into.
That would be fun.
2019 coming to an end.
I'll have to go through all the movies I've watched.
Yeah, that's
In the whole decade? Do we have time?
I did a list on last year alone, and I watched from 2018 only. I watched like 100 movies that came out that year, and let me tell you, 3 were good.
3. Now, were they movie of the decade? I don't know. Who knows?
One definitely was.
Okay, that's good.
And it was called Slender Man.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any movies that we're planning on watching this week?
I watched movies. I guess I watched already. Were watched High Life on Robert Pattinson. Pretty good sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
More of the, I guess, psychological isolation aspect of that, which I really enjoyed. And finally got to Mystic River. Clint Eastwood when he was good. And that's on Netflix. I would recommend that if anyone wants to watch like a, I guess, old like thriller drama. Got Sean Penn. And it was pretty good. Other than that, I don't think I watched. Can't think of anything I watched. What about you? Didn't you watch Hell or High Water? Finally?
Actually, no, I haven't yet. I'm going to watch that probably tomorrow. I watched Ocean's 11.
Oh,
yesterday.
boy.
I watched Ocean's 11 yesterday.
And what did you think?
I mean, not as good of a heist movie as the best heist movie of all time, Den of Thieves, but more importantly, I watched Lupin the Third, The Castle of Cagliostro.
Ooh.
Little
that
Miyazaki.
movie.
Very enjoyable.
That was good.
Yeah. Also on Netflix.
Also on Netflix. I'm literally going through Netflix.
I'll have to give that one a watch.
That one's
because that's what I did.
I think that was Miyazaki's. When
it was real
first,
early.
It was like his first or second, I think.
I don't think he was the director either.
No, he was.
He was?
I think that was the one of the only Lupin one that he directed.
And then one that I'm planning on watching, obviously Hell or High Water. El Camino came out, which was that
very if you like Breaking Bad
movie.
That was the other one I
haven't watched it. Haven't watched it yet. Probably might. I don't know. I haven't seen Breaking Bad in a while.
A non-spoiler review. One, they do a recap that I was actually kind of thankful for because I haven't watched it in a while. It's like a 3-minute recap.
That's good. I probably would need that.
Mm-hmm. That was good. For a Breaking Bad fan, it was essentially, to me, it felt like an extended.
I'm not necessarily a
show.
Breaking Bad fan.
Okay, you watch? Do you watch the series?
I've watched the series. I'm not gonna say like, oh my god, haha, I'm gonna dress up as Walter White in his underpants for Halloween kind of thing.
That's a
like,
good idea.
Like, I'm not super into Breaking Bad. It was good.
Yeah.
I'm just not like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Jesse.
I agree.
No, yeah. Non-spoiler review of El Camino on my end was beautifully shot. Very good cinematography in multiple scenes, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well acted and a good conclusion for a character I didn't know I cared about his ending for, because I really enjoyed his ending in the show. But this was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can maybe talk about this a little more when you guys watch it, because there are some parts that are real weird for decision-wise that I thought. But overall, it was pretty good, especially for a Netflix movie on Breaking Bad. Yeah. I was surprised.
And then last one for me was Schindler's List.
Well, okay.
yeah, I know. What a turn of events. I think Schindler's List might be one of my picks later, but yeah, Schindler's List. Good old Shindy.
Yeah.
His list. Just rocking around Germany. If you haven't seen Schindler's List, highly recommend it.
I remember the first scene in Schindler's List I watched, because my brother had to watch it for like a high school history class, and I came down right as the old man got domed in the back of the head, and I guess I just started bawling because I didn't know because I just walk in and I see this old man get kicked down and then shot in the back. I'm like, oh no. Loved it though. Very good movie. Cole?
I'm looking forward to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I want to watch
Oh.
that. I want to watch Abominable, that cute little
Are you
animated
talking
movie.
about the... Wait,
I'm looking
did you
forward
say
to
the
seeing that
Abominable
one.
Bulk?
That's
The Abominable movie.
Abominable. It's just called
Yeah,
Abominable.
I'm not.
It's
seeing
like
it
that girl, and then
because
she meets
it's
the
from
big
a-
abominable snowman or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a yeti or whatever. She finds a yeti that
She's
can do
like, oh my
magic.
God, that's the
China
movie
I
and
like
stuff.
it's I think it's I'm hoping it's in the same vein of like Coco
There's
or
some
whatever. I'm hoping it's as good as
controversy with
that.
that movie, actually. Yeah.
Is there really?
Because they included
What
the
happened?
Chinese 9-dash line in that movie, and that's like
What does
a
that
big
mean?
no to some other countries in Southeast Asia. So the welcome to the Southeast Asian geopolitics podcast featuring Josh. The 9-dash line, to give you some context, is a territorial claim on the South China Sea by China, and it's got 9. The reason why it's called the 9-dash line is because on the map,
They included that in their
yeah,
like
in the
map.
that is on the back of one of the characters' like boards that she has in her room and stuff like that, and that 9-dash line goes around the island of Taiwan.
Oh, no.
And so
What?
first of all, like, people didn't like it because they included that to begin with, and then having it go around Taiwan is what people really didn't like about it. So that's the controversy with and then all the stuff going
Damn.
on with China because it was a
Is this movie like made in China or something,
it
or is
was
it
like a
I thought it was American
co-production, I
made.
believe,
Mhm.
because it's still
Oh,
it's
really?
like
Should I not give them my money?
I
Free
think
Hong
it's like
Kong?
a Disney
Fuck, now we're not going to get
thing
China money.
with. I'd rather not have China money. Free Hong Kong, by the way. It's
This is
all
our
to
China
listeners.
protest.
Free Hong Kong.
Podcast.
Now I can't enjoy Abominable. I was
We're
gonna
gonna
go.
get-
I was
we're
gonna
gonna
enjoy
get
watching
deleted
that. Now
by
I can't go watch
Blizzard.
it.
This is our Overwatch review podcast.
So yeah, that was that one point I wanted to bring up with Abominable. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I saw this news article that people got pissed about it.
Wow. I didn't even know this movie was coming out, so...
It already came out. That's the thing.
Oh! So scary.
Maybe Adam's Family, and then I want to catch the Joker sometime if I can get it in a
We'll,
good enough quality
we'll
DVD.
definitely have to talk about that when it comes out and gang up on you because Josh and I hate it, I guess, according to you.
I don't hate the Joker. I just
It was a well-made movie.
It's so weird. Everybody else loves it, and then I hear Josh, you talk about it, and you're like, "It's the worst movie I've ever seen." There's only Joaquin Phoenix in it.
there is only Joaquin Phoenix in that movie. All other characters are very much forgettable. Even Thomas Wayne.
Even Robert De Niro playing
Yes.
his
Yes.
best role, Rupert Pumpkin in King of Comedy, the better version of the Joker. If you haven't seen that movie yet, go pirate it, or Taxi Driver. That's my main thing with Joker, was it was the worser version of two movies that came out in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah. We can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. Catch up.
Someone's gonna pick it.
A little sneak preview. Stick with us so you can hear Joker.
Oh God. I'd rather do a Warhorse podcast.
You're gonna love my next pick.
Sounds like we're wrapping up.
What's
Wait,
the
what?
pick? What is it?
Oh, my next
Yeah.
pick. It's hold on. It is
Something good.
a movie by the director Liam Gavin, A Dark Song, an Irish independent
Oh,
horror
you
film.
talked about
Dark
this.
Song.
Yeah, this is on Netflix, right?
A Dark Song, 2016, an independent Irish film by director Liam Gavin. A young woman and a damaged occultist risk their souls to perform a ritual.
Oh, this is on my watch list because I remember you talked about it before, so I'm gonna
Interesting.
take that off now because
92% Rotten Tomatoes, 6.2 on IMDb. Join us next time for A Dark Song in the SappyCast.
oh yeah, our name is the SappyCast.
And cut.
There we go. Perfect.